Alrighty, folks, it's the end of a month, the beginning of a new month, and so it is that time for Nerd Ventures Preview Extravaganza. This being the December 2015 previews guide for items shipping in February 2016. So we have here the previews book itself, previews number 327 for items, like I said, in shops 2016. We have the separate Marvel preview and as always, the previews customer order. The two different covers in this one are a Earth 1 Wonder Woman and Snowfall, whatever that is, from Image. An all-new book from Joe Harris and Martín Morazzo, if I'm saying those names right. So, obviously, episode 1, or 0 rather, of this playlist series, whatever you would have it, laid the groundwork for what exactly a previews catalog is. So we're just going to move directly into exploring this catalog that came out the last week of November, which leads us into December 2015. Finding what we find in here, I'll stop along the way and give you my thoughts on some interesting series that are going to be coming out in 2016, February that is, and hopefully this will give you a good idea of what to set aside some cash and mark your calendars for. So come along with me as we flip through this behemoth and find what's interesting to find in here. Alrighty, as always, once we get past the ads and different gems and stuff like that, we get to alphabetically the major first publisher being Dark Horse, and this month they are spotlighting a Lara Croft, however you'd like to say it. I guess Lara is the best way. Tomb Raider book. So let's see what Dark Horse has to offer us. Right off the bat, we can see that the comment I made last month about Dark Horse sort of lacking a creator vision and instead focusing on video game development properties is holding true. This month they've announced this Lara Croft book. I don't really know much about the creative team. I do like this page of art, this preview page that they have. I think it does have a cool vibe to it, but I don't really know much about it. Moving on in here, we have more and more of the Dragon Age, more Lara Croft, more Call of Duty, more Mirror's Edge, more Plants vs. Zombies. So Dark Horse definitely staying true to what I mentioned before, which is video game adaptations. Here's something very cool. I don't really know anything about it, to be honest with you, but I'm going to pick it up, and that is the Aliens... What is this? 30th anniversary hardcover, the original sequel to Aliens, as they say. It looks black and white. I'm not sure. What does it say here? It is black and white. 184 pages, so not super long, but it is one of their nice 8x12 library books. And it looks like it is the original comic series in 1988. It says this was the original sequel to Aliens that was done until Alien 3 forced the story to change, as they say in here. So there was Alien, then Aliens, and then it looks like this was the next piece of the puzzle. Looks really cool. So I'm definitely going to be picking that up. That's coming out in April, actually. This is like an early solicit. So the end of April, there's going to be a nice library edition Aliens from Dark Horse. So if you're interested in that, check it out. The next thing from Dark Horse that looks interesting to me is the next Usagi Yojimbo Saga collection. This one right here. This, on this side, is actually the latest issue. It was 152. Is that right? Yeah, Usagi Yojimbo 152. And then this is the collection that is coming out, the Usagi Yojimbo Saga, which so far they've put out. I just actually got the 5th one in the mail, like yesterday. And so they've solicited number 6 for the middle of April, and they're going to be doing, as always, they're going to be doing, as always, a hardcover limited edition and a regular trade paperback edition. So if you're keeping up with the Usagi Yojimbo Saga, they're going to be going through issues 94 to 116, which will arrive, like I said, in April, and continuing the run on that. We're getting closer and closer to being caught up with 152, if that's what's coming out right now. So looks like we're almost complete getting the whole collected Usagi Yojimbo in nice hardcover books, which is really, really cool. I'd love to see it in oversized, but I'm not going to complain if they do these, that they keep doing these nice, consistent hardcover limited versions. So definitely be picking that up. $600. 600 pages worth of black and white greatness from Stan Sakai if you're interested in Usagi Yojimbo. Dark Horse right now, I don't know if there was a collection in the last year, or last month's book rather, but Dark Horse is continuing the eerie and creepy reprints, and this is the most recent one that they have coming out again in April. So even though this says February, these are mostly April books from Dark Horse at least. Eerie Archives Volume 21 hardcover, so 21 volumes into the hardcover collection of the Eerie Archives. This one collecting, it says 100 to 103, so it looks like we've gotten about 4 issues, or I guess 5, yeah, 5 issues-ish per hardcover, if that makes 20 to get up to 100, so this is going to be a nice collection. I really love the Eerie stuff. That's getting into the sort of, I don't know what time period the 100s were published by Eerie, but it has Jim Starlin, Larry Hama, Alfredo Akala, so a bunch of cool names in there. Definitely, if you're into classic science horror, as they say up there, you should definitely check out the Eerie and Creepy Archives from Dark Horse. And some more interesting Dark Horse stuff. We have in here 2 manga adaptations, which I do care about. One of them, not so much. Basically, the Lone Wolf and Cub Dark Horse stuff, which is on this side. They're doing their final volume, which is volume 12 of the omnibus, which collects volumes 26, 27, 28. So if you don't know, Dark Horse has been putting out these really tiny postcard size versions of Lone Wolf and Cub. I don't care to collect it. It's only 5 by 7, so literally like a photo size. I don't care to collect it like that. I'm trying to collect them in the old school black and white, like full-size comics. But if you are interested in that, they've put out now 12 omnibus, which collect the entire, like, 28 little mini volumes. So that now completes their run on Lone Wolf and Cub. But to me, a little bit more interesting is the volume 2 of, I guess you say it, Planetes by Makoto Yukimura, which is right over here. And I really, really love this story. I've watched the anime of it. I've read the manga of it. It's really, really good. I think the anime is okay. It is a little bit, it changes things up to make it a little more exciting than it needed to be, if that makes sense. But this manga right here is like really, really subtle, and in some ways it's not subtle, but a lot of the different themes and sort of characterizations and stuff are just done in like a really slow and beautiful way. And it's about different people who do sort of different walks of life who come together to be space garbage collectors, basically, to retrieve trash from outer space. I totally, totally love it. So Planetes Volume 2 in April, and Lone Wolf and Cub Omnibus 12 in April, 2 manga books for $20 each that you should pick up, black and whites from Dark Horse if you're into that kind of stuff at all. And then it looks like the rest of this Dark Horse stuff is statues and a little bit more of their video game stuff. So yeah, that was an okay month from Dark Horse. Nothing stellar, but seemed all right. And we get right into DC Comics, which spotlights my favorite creator, Neil Adams, and his Superman, The Coming of Supermen. As if you've watched some of my past videos, you might know that while I do like Neil Adams' artwork, I like his older stuff from the 70s and 80s, I think he as a person is kind of a total jerkbag. I don't like his style at the conventions is really skeevy. And actually, I went to a convention a week or two ago, and basically I had this whole conversation with multiple people online about how Neil Adams is like the worst person in the convention scene right now, because he's just a total tool and nobody actually really likes talking or signing or working with him. So, anywho, we see that he's going to be doing The Coming of Supermen, #1. Art by Neil Adams with a variant cover by Neil Adams. There's actually a lot of variant covers by Neil Adams in this preview. So it's going to be a 6-issue miniseries where a bunch of different Supermen come. Sounds great. I'm super excited for that. On the other side of that page, there's the Dark Knight Returns, The Last Crusade #1, which I read about the other day. It looks like a one-shot prequel to The Dark Knight Returns. So Frank Miller's Dark Knight Returns, obviously a super celebrated Batman story from the mid-'80s, and it's getting a sequel right now, or a threequel, I guess. There was a sequel that was not well received, but it's getting another series right now, The Master Race, but this looks like it's going to be a one-shot which is Frank Miller and Brian Azzarello on writing, who are the two that are doing the current series right now, and then John Romita Jr. and Bill Sienkiewicz, if that's how you say his name, I hope it is, on art, which is a good team all around. There's a bunch of variant covers: Frank Miller, Jim Lee, Bill Sienkiewicz, Lee Bermejo. Nothing that I'm super interested in, but that might be cool. It'll probably be collected eventually in the Dark Knight 3 hardcover. This I am interested in. I've actually not jumped on this series yet, but there is a series called Earth 1 from DC where I think it's Earth 1. I don't think it's called Earth 2 in the is it called Earth 2 in the other ones? I don't know. But basically they're like these series of graphic novels that are sort of these standalone stories that you can read from a lot of their famous characters if you're not super familiar with the entire continuity of it. And Grant Morrison is doing one with Yannick Paquette, I think is how you say the name. And it's going to be of Wonder Woman. So I am excited for that. I don't know if I'm going to pick it up. I'm sort of hoping that all of these Earth 1 volumes get collected eventually in some way, because it seems like there's going to be a number of volumes of all of them. So I might hold out on that one, but it could be pretty cool to check out. The rest of the stuff for DC that I'm flipping through looks okay. Like I said, it's all just it all has these Neil Adams variants. It's Neil Adams paying tribute to himself. Wow, so great. But he basically is doing variant covers for many of the main ongoing series in DC's lineup. Batman 49 looks kind of interesting because it's switching up the usual creative team of Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo. Instead, it's going to be Scott Snyder and Yannick Paquette, like on Wonder Woman. So that looks kind of cool. I'm waiting for the Scott Snyder run to get collected in hardcover. The first Absolute, actually, is on its way to me right now. So probably won't be reading this when it comes out in February, but a cool change of pace on the art from a run that's been pretty consistent otherwise in terms of creative people working on it. And now we get into the hardcovers and collections from DC. There is a collection, it looks like it's not going to be oversized, but a collection of Batman Europa, which is a 4-issue miniseries, which is coming out right now, actually. And that is something that was announced, I actually think it was announced 12 years ago. I remember reading about this and how it was long awaited, as they say in this book, but I think it's really, really old. But it is going to be a story. I know Brian Azzarello was writing it, just a 4-issue miniseries, and then there's going to be art by Jim Lee, Diego Latour, Giuseppe Camuncoli, and Gerard Parrell. It looks okay. I might check this out. I know that the only Brian Azzarello Superman stuff, or not Super, well, it was Superman, but superhero stuff I read was Superman for Tomorrow with Jim Lee, him and Jim Lee on it, and I was not wild about that one. So hopefully Europa turns out a little bit better. The rest of these trade paperbacks all are sort of volume 1-ish of a bunch of these new series, like Cyborg, Black Canary, Batman Beyond, We Are Robin. And then when you get to the other stuff, it's sort of volume 6 or 7-ish of a lot of these. Volume 6 of Aquaman, 7 of Aquaman, Green Lantern 7, Batman 7. So sort of in the mid-range of DC. It doesn't look like they're collecting that many big things. One that I am very, very much looking forward to is the Gotham Central Omnibus down here. It is a 40-issue run from Ed Brubaker and Greg Rucka on Res writing, and then I think Lark did the most one. Michael Lark was the artist for most of it. I'm really, really excited about that. I've heard only amazing things about that. It's going to be collected for $100, about 1,000 pages, and it's going to be on sale in May. And I think it's sort of like the Gotham police force, focusing more on that. And I think the TV show Gotham, is sort of based around this, a younger Jim Gordon and then the Gotham Central police department. So I am super excited about that one. Definitely something from DC that I'm going to pick up. But I think that's pretty much all the stuff. Yeah, that's pretty much all the stuff from DC that looks interesting to me. There's a couple different Vertigo things coming out, I guess. So here's one, the Sweet Tooth Deluxe Edition Book 2, Jeff Lemire. I have the Deluxe Edition Book 1 sitting on the shelf behind me, and I'm waiting to get them all in Deluxe to read that. So that's going to be awesome. Sweet Tooth 13 through 25. I believe it is a 40-issue series. I want to say it's a 40-issue series, so maybe one more book of that. So it should be about 3 deluxe hardcovers, so that'll be nice. And I think that's about it from DC. There's a few collectibles in the back of here. Here you go, I remember reading about this, yeah. If you have a spare $5,000 lying around, there's a DC Comics brass Batman statue just for you. Only 100 made for the low, low price of $5,000. Holy shit. Batman is captured in this timeless high-end statue. It better be timeless for $5,000. Cast in brass with a bronze finish, the statue is shipped in its own custom wooden crate and includes a pair of handling gloves. Look at that. Approximately 36 pounds and 20 inches tall. So if you want 36 pounds of bronze Batman goodness and maybe just buy it for the gloves, honestly. Like $5,000 for a pair of handling gloves seems pretty good. So just fucking chuck the statue and just buy some gloves, dude. On sale 2016 June 2016. You can get your 20 inches of Batman goodness. And here we get into the IDW section. First thing from IDW that seems like it's interesting to me is the Empire Strikes Back Artist Edition, the Al Williamson Artist Edition for Empire Strikes Back. If you don't know Al Williamson, he's a really, really awesome artist. He did actually a lot of Flash Gordon stuff back in the day, which is funny because I'm pretty sure that, if I am correct, that Star Wars was born out of George Lucas trying to get the rights to Flash Gordon, make a movie out of that. So it definitely sort of has that kind of serialized feel to it. But this is a 14 by 21 inch, super oversized artist edition, which is all scans of the original art as frequently as they can get it. And this is going to collect a bunch of Star Wars issues from the original Marvel run of Star Wars. Collects all of Williamson's Empire work, as well as selected pages from Return of the Jedi and Star Wars pages by other Star Wars pages. So it's going to take the entire Empire Strikes Back book, and then it's going to be a few different smatterings of pages that they have, I guess, from Al Williamson's Star Wars work. Definitely cool. It's an April release, like a lot of these other things in here, and it is another continuation of IDW's Artist Edition, which I'm totally behind. As I said before, it's a little bit pricey for me, but one day I would love to collect these, and that's definitely a cool addition to the line. And smash cut to 1 week later when I've actually decided to finish filming this video. Yeah, I just got distracted after I published my last one. So if I remember correctly, we are at IDW right after the Star Wars Artist Edition. So let's continue our journey through this magical previews catalog and see what we have to look forward to in February. As per usual, the IDW catalog is taken up largely by Transformers and G.I. Joe. Ninja Turtles as well is a big part of their game these days. There is a comic adaptation of Drive. That's kind of cool, just a little trade paperback. I don't know if there were issues for this. I'm assuming there were, but I just probably missed out on them. More Star Trek stuff, more licensed properties, Back to the Future, Ghostbusters. The same old shtick. There's a little bit of X-Files stuff going on right now because of the series is coming back. Not that I have ever been a big X-Files person. I don't think I've ever seen a single episode of it, but the series is on its way back to TV, I think, in not too long, so looks like they're getting their X-Files in while they can. Some Gem and the Hologram stuff, which apparently the movie that came out recently was just the worst thing ever. Some My Little Pony, the Walt Disney Comics stuff. Oh, here's something interesting from IDW, the Lock and Key, this one on the side, the Lock and Key Master Edition Volume 2. I picked up Volume 1, but I have not read it yet. I personally prefer to read series all as one chunk whenever I can, so it'll be nice. This, I believe, covers trade paperbacks Volume 3 and 4, maybe, because I'm pretty sure the first one that I have up there was Volumes 1 and 2, so I'm guessing that they're going to sort of keep doing that style thing where they collect about 2 trades per hardcover. So I guess there's going to be 4. I'm pretty sure there's 8. I'm not totally sure. The Max series, which I've talked about before, it looks like there's Max 28 is coming out. This recoloring, reissuing of Sam Keith's Max work from the 90s, if you can see that. This one just looks like they're soliciting the hardcover signed edition for Volume 2, which already has been out, so I don't think I'm going to be picking that up because I'm not familiar enough with the series to really jump on it. And that looks like it's about it from IDW. Nothing super interesting for February, honestly. At least not for me. It's mostly, the same sort of stuff. Licensed properties, Ghostbusters, Transformers, My Little Pony, Gem, all that kind of stuff. So if you're into that, IDW is really pumping it out these days, so check them out. And on we move into Image Comics. This, I am actually really interested. The very first thing that they have on here, Mirror number 1. I've seen stuff from this for quite a while because I follow Emma Rios online, and she is I know her best for her art in Pretty Deadly with Kelly Sue DeConnick, which is really, really good. I love her art, and she does some stuff in Island, the Image like magazine that's coming out right now. But she has a new series coming out where she is writing, actually, and there is art, and the cover is done by, I'm going to totally butcher this, but Hui Lim, I'm guessing is how you say it, Hui Lim. It's a really, really cool series called Mirror. Like I said, I've been seeing stuff about this for a while. I like the way the paneling and the outline, or the layouts are done. It definitely speaks to me a lot, the sort of artistic style of it. I like how the different panels look like they're sort of part of the story, the way they're laid out. It, like up here, for example, where it's like, it's not just squares. It looks really interesting. So I am going to be reading this at some point. I don't know if I'm going to be picking it up in singles, but that looks really cool, coming out in February. This is that Snowfall book that is on the cover. Looks like Joe Harris is the writer who wrote The X-Files, and artist Martin Morazzo from Vertigo Quarterly. Well, I don't know. It's the year 2045, and it no longer snows. Well, that's a bummer, because snow is my very favorite type of precipitation. I'm seriously a winter person, so the art on here looks cool. I don't know really what it's about, but that's going to be coming out in February, so if you are interested, it looks like it's going to be sort of like a dark sci-fi kind of, I mean, obviously the writer of The X-Files will have that going for him, and yeah, looks neat. Don't know much about it. This is pretty cool. Image does this really neat thing where they do these giant-sized artist proofs. I've seen them for Black Science, and it's like a, what's the size on this? 11 by 17, black and white, just inks only. And so they're doing one for Tokyo Ghost, which is the Rick Remender and Sean Gordon Murphy book that's coming out right now. And they're doing issues 1 and 2 in these giant size. It's like, it's not actually like a hardcover or even a trade paperback. It's basically like a giant size comic, because it's like, there's no spine on it. It's like stapled like a comic would be. But they've done this, like I said, for Black Science, and then it looks like they also had one for The Walking Dead #1, and now they're going to have one for Tokyo Ghost 1 and 2. So very, very cool if you're into oversized stuff. It's going to be $20 from Image, and you can get all of the original inks in these like gigantic size. It's not the greatest quality, but it's only $20 for something like that, so pretty neat. I would recommend checking them out, at least flipping through them if you see it at a comic book store near you. In terms of comics coming out right now, it's still very similar through Image. They have the same kind of things going on. The Walking Dead is in issue 151. The Autumn Lands, which I've read a little bit of, it's kind of like this anthropomorphic, like high fantasy thing. It seemed interesting. I'll probably get it when it's collected eventually. Black Science, Chew is about to finish up. Black Science is on issue 20. Deadly Class, issue 19. Descender is about to hit issue 10. So it's pretty much the same kind of books that they've been putting out, depending on where they launched. Injection, I do want to read that. Warren Ellis book. I Hate Fairyland. The Scotty Young creator-owned thing. Island #7, like I've talked about before, or I mentioned earlier in this video, Island is it's really cool. I can't really say that I'm on board with every creator that works on it. Some of the stuff like sort of turns me off, but I like the idea of it a lot. It's basically like 112, like a oversized magazine, sort of like a compilation thing of a bunch of different indie creators that all get together under the editorial leadership of Brandon Graham, who wrote Multiple Warheads. I haven't really read his stuff. I sort of followed him online. He's a little bit outspoken for my taste. But Yeah, it's a cool book, and I picked up issue 1 and I liked it. It's kind of like the throwback to the old books like Taboo or Heavy Metal or something where you get serialized, creator-owned and creator-driven stories, and then eventually maybe they'll be collected somewhere else. And in collected things, I am very excited for Nailbiter, the Deluxe Murder Edition, Volume 1. That sounds lovely, right? Nailbiter, a series I have not read, but I've heard only amazing things about. Like I've, like you all know, I don't really pick stuff up in singles, so I have not picked it up yet, and I was waiting for this hardcover, but it's going to be coming out actually in March, so this is a little bit of an advanced solicit. The $35 price point, which is pretty standard for deluxe hardcovers. Nailbiters 1 through 10 by Joshua Williamson and Mike Henderson, so I'm definitely going to be picking that up. There's also trade paperbacks 1 through 3 are out, if that tickles your fancy. And it looks like the rest of the things are all trade paperbacks and a couple different... There's no other hardcover collections. It's all just a bunch of trade paperbacks, like volumes 2, 3s, 1s, 2s of different series, that most of which I have not read because I'm waiting for deluxe editions. But Image looking pretty good. I mean, they always... For me, I love their stories, but as the way I collect, like, they don't always speak to me as a collector, so Image is definitely one of those companies that I'm always on the lookout for new series, and I like reading them when I can, if I can get them digitally or some way like that. But I don't buy that much Image stuff, probably because I mostly wait for the collections, and they don't tend to do as many deluxes. So it seems like that trend is holding in February. Lots and lots of good single issues and some good trade paperbacks, but if you're like me and you're waiting for hardcovers, it's not going to be an amazing month from Image, just sort of 1 or 2 things to pick up. And now on we go to the Marvel included previews little mini comic book. Well, I guess it's actually like a maxi comic book, but the comic book size version that Marvel always sticks in their previews magazines because they're special and they can do their own little book. So let's take a gander at what's going on in here. As far as new series, there is the Spider-Man #1 from Bendis and Sarah Pichelli, which I believe is post-Secret Wars, where Miles Morales has been sort of is now the new Spider-Man, I believe. So I am excited to read that, mostly because I like Sarah Pichelli's art, so I will be looking forward to that getting collected eventually. This looks pretty cool. I have to say that I like these characters, but I haven't read any of their combined series, but we're getting a new Power Man and Iron Fist series, and I really like the art on that on the cover. It's like very, very aggressive and very cool, so I am excited to see a different take on them. I have read the Iron Fist omnibus from Fraction, Brubaker, and Aja, and I love, love, love it. I have not read any Luke Cage stuff outside of him appearing in Alias and Iron Fist, so I'm excited to read that. I don't know who David Walker is, and I don't know who Sanford Green is either. Sanford Green being the artist, and David Walker being the writer. But looks cool. I'm going to be checking it out, probably. I mean, it's not something that I'm super familiar with, but just this little page or two in here has pretty much sold me on it, so good job on them. So here's a couple of series, which actually I just want to point out more for their covers, which is kind of funny. But Scarlet Witch #3, James Robinson, Steve Dillon. I do want to read that series because I've heard James Robinson's a great writer. But this has a really cool David Aja cover on it. I don't know if you can see that without me blocking it that much, but you know I love David Aja if you watched my Hawkeye review, so that's a really cool cover. And then I love this cover to New Avengers #6, which I don't know anything about the series, but this cover on this side is really, really cool, really nice. I would love to get like a poster or something of that, because that design just really speaks to me. But I don't know anything about the series, but cover looks badass. And more covers, again, Karnak #5, another Aja cover, actually. Just crushing it these days, Aja. Good for you. Yeah, I guess if you're not doing ongoing stuff, you're at least doing some awesome covers. I mean, I like looking at his stuff regardless of what it is. More covers. I gotta say, I'm more excited by a lot of these covers than I am by the actual series. But Deadpool #7 from, looks like a lot of people. Yeah, there's so many people involved in this. 25 years ago. Oh, it's the 96-page, 25-year anniversary one. But mostly I'm just interested because of the cover. I really like Terry Moore. He did Fear Agent, he did The Walking Dead, and a few other things which are escaping me. Those are the only two I really know him from. But this cover just is awesome. Like, I mean, you can really tell it's his stuff, like the detail and the way he sort of the poses and the proportions of the body. I just really like Terry Moore's art, and I would love to see him do more stuff. So kudos to him on rocking out an awesome cover for Deadpool. Even though I don't like the series, once again, cover's great. And now on to the Marvel Collected stuff. The first one that is up here is actually really funny. It's one of their vibranium-sized ones. So if you don't know, Marvel has put out a few. I believe they did a Marvels, the series, Wolverine, maybe a Fantastic Four, and then an X-Men one. I don't know what exactly they've done, but they do these like super mega oversized books, which they call vibranium sized. Oh, and they did a King Kirby, a Jack Kirby slipcase, and they're even larger than an Absolute edition. They're sort of somewhere between DC's Absolute and then the artist editions, because they're not meant to be like original art. Most of them are not like pen and ink or anything. They're reproductions of the actual issues, but they're in these like super big oversized slipcases that come in like their own boxes and stuff. So this latest one that they're doing, this is solicited for June 2016, is the Stan Lee Marvel Treasury Edition. So it looks like it's going to be a real celebration of Stan Lee's runs on different comics in one of their mega oversized vibranium edition boxes, or slipcases, I guess. Stan Lee, I'm not sure how I feel about him. I think he is a very savvy businessman and a good editor and a good behind-the-scenes person, but for me personally, I am one of those people that really champions Jack Kirby for the time period, for like the 60s Silver Age stuff. I think Stan Lee was basically editing him and signing off on all these amazing things that Jack Kirby was doing, because if you look at what Jack Kirby did later at DC and then coming back to Marvel, like it really has a thematic or like a similar feel to all of it, and I don't think that Stan Lee had that much to do with them. I mean, I don't know either of the guys. Like, it's hard for me to say that, but like, I am just somebody who sides kind of, in the two camps. Like, my kind of heart goes out to Jack Kirby for not being, recognized as much sometimes as Stan Lee is. Not that he could have cameos in the Marvel movies because he's passed away, but it just feels like sometimes he gets short shafted to Stan Lee as being like the Marvel guy, and I wish more people understood the balance a little better. But if you're interested in Stan Lee stuff, it looks like this is going to collect all kinds of things. Incredible Hulk, Avengers, X-Men, Fantastic Four, Daredevil, Captain America, Thor, She-Hulk, Silver Surfer. Actually, this is really interesting. Silver Surfer Parable number 1 and 2, which is the Mobius story that Mobius did with Stan Lee back in the day on these major oversized pages. That's cool. That is the cool piece of this. So, I don't know. $200 is what the retail is for 800 pages in this mega oversized edition. I'm not sure. I feel like these vibranium ones have not sold super well before. Like, I've seen the Wolverine one at conventions for, I think, like $40 or $50 for definitely not as much as it was retailing for. So we'll see if this one stays super expensive, if it gets picked up real quick. I don't know how much the Jack Kirby one that came out earlier this year is going for. I'm not sure. We have here the third in the Thanos trilogy of original graphic novels that Jim Starlin has been doing. I have not read any of these, but I know Starlin is somebody that people hold in very high regard for his cosmic work with Warlock and Thanos and the Infinity Gauntlet saga back in the, I believe, like 80s. So these might be cool to pick up. I believe they're oversized. Yep, they're oversized, $25 a piece, and there's the Infinity Relativity Revelation, and this is Finale. So looks like a neat little. Unfortunately, it's not penciled by him. It's done. The art is done by somebody else, Ron Lim, and it looks fine. But I'd like to see Starlin on the art too. That would have been nice. All right, into the omnibus section of Marvel, we get the first of, I believe, a planned like 4 of these. This came out a little while ago, I think at the Diamond Retailer Summit, that Marvel is working on a Masters of Kung Fu omnibus, which is pretty cool. Not a series that I expected to get omnibus treatment. I was a little surprised that it was something that they did, but here we have it, omnibus volume 1 of Shang-Chi, the Master of Kung Fu. Collects Special Edition 15 through 16, Master of Kung Fu 17 through 37, Giant Size Master of Kung Fu 1 through 4, Giant Size Spider-Man number 2, Iron Man. So it looks like Marvel Special Edition had Shang-Chi in it for 2 issues, and then as of 17 it turned into Master of Kung Fu and then ran for a number of more issues. Like I said, I believe there's going to be 4 of these Omnis. So this is $125 for 7 pages. For 7 pages, that would be that wouldn't be unlike Marvel. $125 for 700 pages of content. So if you're into 70s kung fu kind of martial arts action stuff, there's a lot of good names on here. The Buscema's, Sal and John, Jim Starlin doing pencils on here. So a lot of cool art, and definitely like an awesome throwback vintage kung fu style book if you're looking for that. Here's one I'm not sure if I'm going to pick up. It is the Star Wars Droids and Ewoks Omnibus. I believe that this is like an all ages, sort of like a younger skewed series, which came out a while ago, like the late 80s. Collecting Ewoks 1 through 14, Droids 1 through 8, and then Ewoks UK Annual 1989. So it's going to be $100 price point, so you could probably pick it up for about $50. I don't know if I want to get that or not. I'll have to see what it looks like, because certainly the art looks a little bit younger audience on the front of it, so I'll need to check it out. I'm not really sure. That's a maybe on mine, but coming out in June 2016, if you're interested, there's going to be the Droids and Ewoks Omni. Here's another one for June 2016. This is the Squadron Supreme Classic Omnibus. There was already a Squadron Supreme Omnibus, which I would imagine did not sell very well, because I see it a lot at different comic book shops, or online going for undercover. So it's not one of the rare and out of print ones, but it looks like this is going to make that one even less essential, because this seems to collect, if I am understanding it right, all the material from the original Squadron Supreme Omnibus, as well as additional classic content. So I don't know much about Squadron Supreme. I know it's supposed to be a good team up book from Marvel, sort of something opposed to the Avengers. And it looks like this one's going to be the full classic collection. Maybe that means they're paving the way for a more modern omnibus, if they're delineating this as a classic omnibus. But this is another $125 book for 1,200 pages, so a lot of content. That's going to be one of the thicker ones that they've done. And it's going to be on sale June 2016, which most of these hardcovers are. So check that out if you're into the old school stuff. Definitely good names on here. Sal Buscema, John Buscema again, George Perez I really like. Cover from George Perez, and then written by a bunch of different people, including Steve Busiek, Jeff Loeb, Roy Thomas. So big names, big Marvel names on there, and if you're interested, it's there for you. Here's one that's pretty cool. Not something I was really expecting to see, and I wasn't sure if I was going to pick it up, but this is the Secret Wars Last Days of the Marvel Universe hardcover. The reason it's neat is because it's another oversize for the Secret Wars series that's going on right now. There has already been solicited a oversize hardcover for the Secret Wars main series, but it's cool to see that there might be other pieces of it collected, because I remember reading online that there's some crazy number of issues, overall number of issues tied to this Secret Wars event between the Battle World and all the different things is in the hundreds. So it is nice to see this in hardcover, giving me some hope that maybe we'll get a nice set of hardcover books for this year's Secret Wars. There have been collections for all the Secret Wars in the past, so hopefully this one is a good one. The rest of this stuff looks like it's mostly trade paperbacks from Marvel. It is pretty crazy to me that Marvel is offering the Spider-Verse trade paperback at a $50 price point. The hardcover was $75, and this is a $50 softcover for 650 pages worth of content. That is, 650 pages is a lot, but I just have a really hard time paying $50. I mean, I wouldn't buy this anyway, but $50 for a softcover, just regular trade, that just seems very excessive to me. So, it is what it is. There's also new trade paperback printings of most of the tie-ins from Civil War. There's a Fantastic Four one, there's a Captain America one, Wolverine, Black Panther, Frontline, X-Men, Avengers. So it looks like the Civil War books that came out around the Civil War line from Mark Millar and Steve McNiven, they're all going to be getting some type of reprint in time for the movie. There's already been a hardcover solicit to reprint the original the original Civil War content in a new hardcover around the movie. I would hope that some of these hardcovers get reprinting for this. And, the original hardcover set, if you get all of, like, whatever, 6 or 7 of these, I think it's something like they sell online for $800 or more, like, for the whole set. It's a lot for all the different hardcovers. So I'm hoping that these reprintings go beyond just trade paperback and hopefully into some of the hardcovers, but I wouldn't count on it. I think once there's a fresh trade paperback for most of these coming out this March, they're probably not going to go on to do any more hardcover stuff, which is cool. And then the rest of this stuff is, oh, look at that. Like I was talking about earlier, it looks like there is going to be a poster offered for the Immortal Iron Fist or the Iron Fist and Power Man Heroes for Hire. So if you're interested in that, there will be a poster. Look at me, I have such good taste. They follow my suggestions. So that's about it for Marvel. I think this time, the February-March time is going to be wrapping up most of their new number ones for their all-new, all-different line. If you don't know, Marvel is currently in the throes of launching a bunch of new number one books for their all-new, all-different Marvel. And it looks like by the time February-March rolls around, Spider-Man is pretty much going to be the last one of the very last ones to launch from them. So around that time, we should start to be getting a couple trade paperbacks from some other series that have been going on for a little while. And the hardcover offerings from Marvel are strong this month, as they usually are. There's multiple Omni offerings. There's a couple nice hardcover offerings. So overall, I'm pretty satisfied with Marvel stuff. Even if the prices are higher than I might like to see, the content they're delivering is high quality, and they consistently dole out these series. It's not like DC where you might go months without a different hardcover or image where the same thing might happen. So kudos to Marvel for at least keeping weird hardcover collectors like me out of money. But I think 2016 shaping up to be a good year for Marvel so far from the solicits, and if they follow through on all the stuff that they've promised in terms of completing these omnibus lines, I think it's going to be pretty solid. And now, last but not least, we get to basically the back quarter of this catalog. I'm going to flip through the non-DC Marvel image stuff, all of the, just comics and graphic novels from different companies, and I will stop if my eye catches anything, and then we can have a little discussion about it. But for the most part, that stuff that I've already talked about is from all the major publishers. So from now we're going to be looking at a lot of these smaller indie things and seeing what interesting collections are coming out. All right, the first one that caught my eye is in the A's, which is a good sign, I guess. And that is the Archie Volume 1 trade paperback from Fiona Staples and Mark Waid, the relaunch of Archie. I think this looks like a cool series. I haven't read any of it, but I think the price point is wrong on this. A soft cover trade, and it's listed as $20. I think that's too much. Image gets a lot of people interested in their stuff by doing these like $10 and $15 trades for their volume ones, and I think this needed to be priced at $10 or $15 to really get people into it. Only 6 issues for $20. It looks like a cool series, but at that price point, I'm just not going to be picking it up, and I think that's a little bit too high. So even though it looks interesting, you gotta get the funds at the right level to get people on board, and I don't know if $20 for 6 issues is the right amount. As always, I gotta stop by the EC Comics section, see what they're reprinting. It looks like we're getting Frontline Combat, Two-Fisted Tales archives, as well as some weird science stuff. Again, love EC, always have to shout them out. They're continuing their reprints of all of these things in full color reprints for the price point of $50 each for these 8x11s. So they are like big magazine size hardcovers, 8x11s, full color for $50. Seems pretty fair. So it looks like they're going to be putting most of Two-Fisted Tales, a selection of 13 through 18. So, unfortunately, like, these aren't sort of the full series, because a lot of these went on for, a couple dozen issues. So They're kind of in the middle of collecting all of these. Like Frontline Combat is only number 1. EC Comics Weird Science, they're soliciting 2 and 3, and then Two Fisted Tales, they're soliciting 1 and 2. So you sort of, it's a little bit all over the place in terms of actually getting all the content out there. If you have to pay attention to what came out before and what's coming out next, but definitely looks like EC is doing a good job of saving their history for the next generation, which is always a plus. As always, I have to shout out my Humanoids friends. I guess they're not my friends, but I admire their work. This month, they're soliciting something called The Ark by Stefan Lavalo. I have no idea. I'm sorry that I'm terrible at European names, but it looks really cool. It says it's a near-silent allegorical fable of man versus nature in a cinematic, stunning presentation which captures... What does it say? The medium's potential. So it definitely looks interesting. It's going to be $25 for an 8x11 oversized book. So that'll definitely be pretty cool. I will be picking that up because I like to get most new things that come out from Humanoids, or at least things that interest me. They're also, it looks like, resoliciting District 14 Season 1 and 2 hardcover. I did not get these originally, but they do look cool to me. It looks like sort of a... Where is it? Right there. It looks like... I'm not really exactly sure. I think it's like sort of a unique anthropomorphic mystery with intricate plot and fantastical cast of characters. It looks almost like a semi-humorous sort of thing, like a noir humor anthropomorphic black. I don't like science a little bit. I don't know. It looks cool. I will be picking it up at some point. And that's kind of a cool one. We're getting the Meta Barons reprints. Under the Unsung Heroes tag for the Meta Barons and the Meta Barons Genesis, and then there's also going to be a new printing of the weapons of the Meta Barons. So if you're into the Jodoverse from Jodorowsky and Humanoid stuff, they definitely are continuing to roll out the reprints. They're not putting out, as I said last time, they're not putting out anything Mobius related. I don't believe they have the rights to his stuff anymore. But the Jodoverse stuff continues to be published, and it looks like they're going to do a pretty good job collecting almost all of the stuff that was published sort of in relation to all of the Incal material. So definitely stuff to look forward to and keep your eye out for. Here's another. It's good to know from 2000 AD/Rebellion that they are keeping the Grant Morrison Zenith hardcovers in print. They are a little bit notorious for letting their stuff go out of print, especially the rarer things. Like there was a one-volume Zenith hardcover, or Zenith, or however you want to say it, which is now very expensive and is out of print. But it looks like they're going to be doing a second edition of Volume 1, or Phase 1 as they call it, and Phases 1 or 2 through 4 are also still in print for $25 each. So if you're into some classic British magazine stuff, I think the first 3 are black and white, and then the 4th one is hardcover, or is full color. It looks like they're all listed as black and white, but I think there might be some color in some of them. So if you're into the old school kind of like zine stuff from Grant Morrison, Steve Yowell did the art on that. Definitely nice that they're keeping that in print and resoliciting some of the stuff that might have gone out. So if you haven't picked it up before, get on it, because I don't know how long they're going to keep doing printings. It looks like everything's going to get a second printing, but you can really never tell. Here we have something pretty interesting from a publisher that I have paid attention to, but I have not bought anything from in the past, and that is the Tomorrows Publishing, which are mostly affiliated with doing like kind of Silver Age and Golden Age. It's hard to say. Like they do like Jack Kirby Collector, or like different things. They sort of put out magazines and different trade paperbacks that really instead of repackaging a lot of the stuff that's already been printed, they like to do a lot of like scholarly writings or sort of like dig up hidden works and stuff like that. So a lot of really cool stuff if you're into that time period. And it looks like they're going to be doing the deluxe edition of their Spirited Life, Will Eisner, a Spirited Life book, which is definitely cool. Will Eisner, of course, the author of The Spirit, and a bunch of other different sort of created almost a graphic novel format, with his Contract with God trilogy and a few other ones. A lot of like New York life kind of stuff. Definitely very cool. And then they're also offering again the Jack Kirby Collector number 50, Kirby 50 new printing. So like I said, Jack Kirby Collector is a magazine that they put out. It looks like they're doing a resolicit of the 50th issue, which it says contains his best stories from 1938 to 1987. The best covers from each decade, 50 best unused examples of his art, 50 best character designs, and profiles and commentary by 50 people from the media who influenced it, plus 50-page gallery of Kirby's powerful raw pencil art. So they are definitely the premier source for Jack Kirby art and finding some really cool uncolored penciled stuff like that. So if you're into Tomorrow stuff, they're going to be putting out Kirby Collector number 50 again for $24. I would recommend picking it up. I'm definitely going to jump on it. That's definitely a collection that I've meant to start for a while, but just haven't got around to it yet. So it seems like that's about it for the previews catalog for December into for item shipping in February. There's also a bunch of books, games, collectibles, comics. I'm not going to go through all of these different. There's tons of pop vinyls, tons of different bust statues from Dragon Ball Z and One Piece and Star Wars and blah 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 blah. There's so much stuff in the back of this. I'm not really a collector of statues, busts, figurines, or anything like that. Maybe one day, but it's not something that interests me right now. So that's about it to wrap up everything from the actual previews catalog itself. I know these are always beefy issues, but I like doing them, and I don't mind them going, longer than my regular videos, which are already pretty long. So I hope you stuck with me through the end. I don't know how long this is going to end up being when I edit it all together, but please let me know if you enjoy this series of preview videos. I had a good response from the first one, and I would like to keep on picking up the books and keep on talking about stuff to keep people abreast of what is coming out, and I just love flipping through them anyway. I think it's cool to see all the stuff that's going to be coming and get excited about it. And yeah, I hope you enjoy following along as much as I enjoy flipping through these things. And I know they're mostly focused on DC and Marvel and all the big publishers, and that's mostly because I focus on that stuff. I don't have that great of a knowledge of a lot of these small side publishers. I would love to get recommendations. If you guys have any like small publishers or series that you're following that don't get as much press or not from the big 4 or 5 publishers, please leave them in the comments below, because I would really love to check out a lot of that stuff. I know Drawn and Quarterly is something I've meant to be or meant to pick up for a while, and like I said, the Jack Kirby Collector. So if there's anything like that, any hidden gems of previews catalogs or of these small publishers, send them my way. I would love to do videos on them in the future if I end up digging their stuff. And as always, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a subscribe. I appreciate every single subscriber that I have, and I love the engagement in the comments I've been getting. Please give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, a thumbs down if you disliked it, and tell me what you'd like to see changed. Tell me what is the most exciting thing for you coming out in February. What did I highlight in here that really gets you going? And please follow me on Tumblr. As always, the social media is a good way to reach me and ask me questions and stuff like that. And I hope I'll see you guys in the next previews video. As always, thanks for watching. Have a good one.